Hello everyone, I am here with Jack Geckler. He is an animator, and saying that is kind of like, I don't know, the understatement of a lifetime, because you've worked on everything. How to Train Your Dragon, one of my favorite movies of all time. You've done stuff with Industrial Light and Magic. You're working on Power Rangers right now, is that right? Or maybe you're done. You're probably done.
We just sent the final stuff from our studio last Monday. So March.
The hype is real.
The hype is real.
So real. I mean, but you've done other stuff too, like National Treasure, The Mummy.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I have a list. I would have to read the list to go through all. Alice in the Looking Glass, The Golden Compass, Star Wars, The Force Awakens.
I might have worked on a little Star Wars, yeah.
Awesome. That is absolutely awesome. But it all started at Full Sail, right? Like you graduated from Full Sail.
I did. I graduated back in 2000 in computer animation. I think I was their 10th class through back then.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, what made you decide on Full Sail when you were looking into getting educated?
You know what's crazy
in this field?
is I actually at the time was living in Orlando.
Okay.
And I was working at Disney here at Disney World, and I was working.
That's a fun job.
I was working in entertainment, and I was very close to good friends like Goofy and Chewbacca in the parks, and I got very, very much into puppeteering. And I had an opportunity to audition for a Jim Henson show called Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yeah, I watched that show.
And so was I.
Okay.
And they sent out the main actor from TV, Noel, to come out and audition us, and it was this amazing experience. And puppeteering was sort of driving this thing I wanted to get into. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, I was a pretty heavy gamer. And I was playing a lot of Unreal at the time, the first Unreal tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And I was playing a lot of Half-Life at the time. And being on the computer and doing puppets, it sort of kind of blended itself into each other.
Okay.
So at the time, me and my roommate decided to paint our dining room wall chroma key green to start doing puppet shows in our dining room.
OG Twitch stream.
Yeah, we rented, but we painted the whole wall. There wasn't sheets at the time you put up.
Yeah.
We used paint.
Hardcore.
Paint. And then all of a sudden somebody mentioned, have you guys heard about this school? Like they kind of teach what you guys are already kind of doing.
Trying to do.
And we came down and did the tour, and it was...
Oh, yeah.
And that this is an exaggeration.
It was even like this.
Oh, absolutely. None of this was here.
Yeah.
And our minds were blown, and that was it.
That's amazing.
It was like, do I sign a check now? Yeah, man.
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah,
Please
exactly.
Shut up and take my money.
Exactly.
So then at some point you came back and were teaching classes, right? Early 2000s?
I did. So it's like I had an opportunity after I graduated. I wanted to keep learning. Mm-hmm. Like I knew it wasn't over, so I kind of had them create an internship program for animation that wasn't there. So
if the job you want doesn't exist, make it exist.
I made it. I kind of made the hat, and I told them like they need to keep me, and they did. And after the internship, I kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go to LA. I'm gonna try to make this happen. And literally that week, I got a call that was, hey, somebody's thinking about leaving. You want to come teach some labs for a while?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, because for me, it turned into another 2 years of one. I love talking to students. I love feeding off students and their energy. Two, and it also gave me an opportunity to keep learning, which was huge.
Yeah.
So I used that 2 years to kind of keep developing my craft, and then made the conscious decision in 2003 to pack up the car, man. Like true story, and drive.
You went Hollywood $100, is that right?
Yeah. Literally to a couch in North Hollywood. And but drove out by myself with as much as I could pack into my car, and slept on a couch for a good 6 months.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then to go from that to working on Star Wars and Power Rangers and all of that.
It's crazy to think about that.
We've gone through a few of the movies, but like, guys, check out his IMDb. It's insane. You've worked on any movie that you like that has animation in it. He's touched it. What are some of your favorite movies that you've worked on?
You know, one of the main ones I always talk about was the first one. Believe it or not, I worked on was a movie called Sky High. It was at Disney.
Seen it. I've not
seen
it. Oh,
you're breaking
my.
You're gonna want to. You will love it.
I will.
It's a Disney movie with kids with superpowers and a high school.
Sounds amazing.
It's got Bruce Campbell in it. It's Kids in the Hall, guys. It's.
Wait,
crazy.
was it a Disney Channel movie?
It has been on Disney Channel, but it wasn't just a Disney movie.
I might have seen it then. Okay. I may have seen it because you say
it's your favorite movie.
Yeah, no. I watched a lot in my Channel in my like early teens, and I feel like you said teens with superheroes, and I feel like I saw that movie.
I know they played it on Disney quite a bit after. But that experience of working with that director, and even though it was my first film, just the crew I worked with, I was working with guys who had worked on The Matrix and What Dreams May Come, and all these, and they were huge mentors to me. And the director, Mike Mitchell, who ended up also directing Shrek 4 and some other movies later, he was actually an animator.
Okay.
Before he became a director.
Yeah, so
he
you
would
kinda
sit,
connected on that
and he would
level.
sit between us while we were animating and just sketching his own stuff and like and to me that was surreal. I'm like the director of the movies just chilling with
just
us.
hanging out.
That was amazing. And then of course the first thing I did at DreamWorks was How to Train Your Dragon, which was just
It's like my favorite. It really is like my favorite movie ever. It's so good.
And then a pinnacle was Force Awakens.
Yeah. How
It's,
could it not be? How could it not be? Well, and obviously with a movie like Star Wars, there were huge expectations, which I think I'm going on a limb here. They were met. I mean, people really liked The Force Awakens. I wasn't even someone who would have considered myself any sort of Star Wars fan, and I saw that 3 times in theaters. Bought it. I've seen it twice at home.
I think that's what I love about it.
You know what I mean? Like it was such a great movie, but like I feel like you're kind of walking into that again with Power Rangers because there is a cult following of Power Rangers.
Which
people are serious.
I knew, but I didn't know till recently.
One time I called a Megazord the Megazoid. Oh man. The internet nearly burned me.
That's better than calling it Voltron. So you're doing better than maybe
I was just making up words, not confusing franchises.
I was on the cusp of that time, right?
Well, yeah, because that would have been like early mid 90s, right?
And I knew it was there, but believe it or not, I was still acting like a little kid, and I loved DuckTales. So
DuckTales is a great show.
No, it is a great show.
They're remaking it.
It is a great, and I bless you Disney for
bless
making
you
this.
Disney. Bless.
But I was on the cusp, so I knew about it, and I'm like, oh, look at these guys in spandex. Who watches this? And it turns out pretty much everyone.
I wasn't allowed to watch it when I was a kid, so I would go to friends' houses and they'd be like, "What do you want to do? Watch Power Rangers?" And they're like, "You want to come to my house and sit and watch TV quietly?"
Yeah.
Yes.
The number of people. Even just this week, walking up to specifically talk about
Power Rangers,
mind-blowing.
Well,
guys
awesome.
with like toys on their wrists from it. They're
yeah.
I'm a little fan. I'm like, what is that? What is that?
I kind of like this. So I'm super excited for it, and the trailer looks awesome.
It looks amazing. It far exceeded my expectations when I started.
So you've seen it. It's good. Yeah, it's the best.
I've seen a little bit.
It's the best. So we've talked a little bit about How to Train Your Dragon. We've talked a little bit about something like Star Wars or Power Rangers. There's obviously going to be a different set of challenges when you're working on a fully animated movie as opposed to a traditional movie with live actors that has animated effects. Like, which one do you prefer, and what type of challenges do you feel are unique to each project?
Honestly, I'd say my passion is probably lies in live action, just because of my past. My mother was one of those mothers who was all about like. This is back when you could rent VHS tapes and go to Blockbuster.
Oh yeah.
But it was like she would let me pick anything.
That's amazing.
Now I'm like 8 years old, but it was like pick whatever, and she was a huge fan of sci-fi and she was not the average parent.
Yeah.
So for me, I grew up on Blade Runner, Clash of the Titans,
Labyrinth.
I mean, all these things I grew up on. Those she had the tapes for herself.
That's amazing.
So I was Legend. I was constantly watching these movies, so I had that kind of passion for that. And honestly, at one point, I thought, well, I'll work at an animated studio maybe eventually. But, and then when the opportunity came up, and I ended up on Dragons. That was such for a first movie in that genre.
It's so good.
It was amazing.
It's what a franchise to kind of get into early, because it's not just me. I mean, a lot of people are sort of obsessed with that movie.
It turns out, yeah. And
I
got
try
to work
watching
on
that
the
movie
second.
without crying.
I cry. Still.
It's so good.
And I got to work on the second one, which was awesome to be a part of. And one of the biggest differences though is like time based. Because animated features, you could easily, as an artist, you can be on for multiple years.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it takes a huge team. Whereas visual effects, we tend to come in with about 6 months left on a project. Mm-hmm. They've shot the movie and they say, hey, now make it look pretty.
Yeah, now do the thing.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
And you can't change too much, right? Because you've shot it, especially if it's live action and you're on set, they've already shot this and they're not going to reshoot it. So, whereas animated features, you can keep changing up until the last minute.
So
you've created the world.
That I've said this quote a couple times, and it's very obnoxious to everybody, I'm sure. But Leonardo da Vinci said, "Art is never finished, only abandoned."
And animated films take advantage of that every step of the way.
Yeah. Well, that actually is this. I don't have this written down, so I'm sorry to spring this on you.
No,
but
please.
I grew up on like old style animation, like 2D flat, like the old Disney movies.
Right.
Like I think the first one I ever saw that was in CG was Toy Story, and I was already like 6 or 7 or 8 years old. It was like mind blowing for me. Why is it, do you think, that so much animation these days is leaning towards? I mean, I think the last time we saw something that was flat was The Princess and the Frog.
Right.
Does it take longer? Is it just?
I think there was a feeling at some point that the consumer was changing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it actually came from more executive level decisions versus than artist level decisions. And I think it was this thing of, this is the new technology, audiences are going to want to see this.
Yeah,
right?
oh, absolutely.
But what I'm finding, and I've found over the years, is even on movies like Kung Fu Panda 2 that I was on, we brought in and had some already in-house at DreamWorks 2D artists who were doing sequences in 2D.
Yeah.
And those are some of the sequences that I love, most of the artists love, and even some of the audience loves. And I think it's come back full circle a little bit on different stations like Netflix and YouTube, where there's these shows that are 2D based.
Yeah.
So I think they're showing that, hey, there's still a medium.
Absolutely. And we were talking earlier, you play Overwatch.
I love
yeah,
some Overwatch.
a lot of my audience plays Blizzard games.
Probably a little more than I should.
No, there's no such thing. So that's kind of interesting that you bring that up, because they've done this whole animated short series,
which is great.
But then the most recent one was 2D. Well,
right.
It was like 2.5D.
And they do a lot of 2D comic stories.
Yeah, they're awesome, like the Harbingers and stuff for World of Warcraft. Right. So yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up,
which I love seeing, and I know some people who work over there, and it's great that they give those artists their opportunities to kind of explore that.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're not just kind of stuck in this. As soon as I said we haven't seen something flat in a while, I'm like, literally Chinese New Year. That's such a lie. I just outwardly lied. So everybody is super, super excited for Power Rangers, and I think I kind of touched on this earlier, but what is it like going into a movie where there's such an intense hype? Like, the expectations are high, the hopes are high, people want it to be really, really good. Is that something, are you the type of person that works well in those conditions, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna nail it now, everybody's counting on me, or are you like...
No, there's moments. And I think it's all perspective on what your background and what the project means to you personally, right?
Yeah.
So Star Wars, for me, was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, I have socks on to match this. I mean, that to me was a burden. But what I loved is JJ took that on himself too, to feel that burden.
Yeah.
Which kind of brought us all at ease. We're like, well, if the director's feeling it, then, I mean, this is going to be awesome.
This is going to be awesome, yeah.
Power Rangers was kind of the same way. What was really great about that is the guy who hired me for Sky High all those years ago in the first film turned out to be the VFX supervisor for the studio for this film.
Wow.
So it was like this full circle coming back around.
Absolutely.
And just having him on the project kind of put me at ease. And I didn't really feel it at first till Friends, and then their siblings, and then I'd be out talking about it, and then all of a sudden it hit me. I'm like, oh my god, a lot of people do like this.
My mother-in-law saw it 3 times in theaters.
This is a big deal. Power Rangers is going to be a really big thing. But I started to get exciting because of some of the takes where we were going with the movie, and it kind of got me amped up, and even more so when the trailer dropped. Yeah, because the tone was exactly what I had hoped for. I'm like, oh, this is so awesome, you know? Yeah, it almost had like a very, like, I don't know that I would have personally ever thought of Power Rangers in a superhero type sense, even though there's no reason that I shouldn't have. It's just not how I mean, they are. They are, but it's just not how I ever, like, you don't think of them like Spider-Man or something. Or I didn't. No. But that's how the trailer made me very much feel. It felt like it was these high school kids who kind of stumbled across this thing, and now they're all superheroes, and they have responsibilities, and they immediately kind of stepped up in that way, and there's so much, and that's the thing, and I think it is probably very hard on the director in general, thinking about it now, that there's so many superhero movies that are out now, right? You're competing against, that to fit into that genre and try to be your own thing's tough. But I think the tone they have set throughout the movie and the tone they set in the trailer kind of differs them a little bit, which I loved. I love that they did that. So, what kind of advice would you give someone who wanted to get into animating? Obviously, I don't know how different it is from when you were, but at this point in time, anybody can pretty much get the software, and there's tons of people on YouTube who have tutorials. Like, there's a lot of ability to be self-taught. So, what kind of advice would you give someone who wants to take it a step further and wants to really, like, pursue a career in animation? I think starting where you just said is awesome. We talked about, you're like, oh, look at my gear, I'm self-taught, which I thought is awesome. Because I think that was something that when I started, there wasn't really that ability wasn't. I'm not saying the internet wasn't around. Yeah, no, but even in the past different. 10 years, like when I was in high school, I graduated in like 2006. So when I was in high school, like we still had dial-up. Like the really ritzy kids had like DSL. Cell connections. But cable wasn't really a common thing to have for internet. There's tutorials galore, and even in my career now, I will, depending on what I'm doing, if I have to, I still go to YouTube to look up whatever it might be. Yeah. It happens all the time. I created a demo reel recently where I was trying to do something in After Effects. I haven't done it forever, and I went to YouTube and I started looking these things up. I think first starting there and accessing that kind of stuff is great. But then I think starting to research and reaching out to people, because that's the thing now with the internet and LinkedIn and everything else, you can really, really define, like, say you love Overwatch and you were like, man, I who worked on Diva? I mean, you can pretty much stalk your way to figure out who the artist was.
Get Senpai to notice you.
Yes, and figure out what their path was, right? And then all the way back to the school they went to. And I think people nowadays, especially, you know, the people here at Full Sail and most of the guys in the Hall of Fame who are here, are all about, like, people sending them questions and asking. You know, I get questions all the time about the school. And I think finding a good place that's going to push you over the edge, because that's what it is. You can stay home and learn anything you want now. But I think being in a place around other creatives and the networking opportunities that come out of places like this are going to far exceed anything if you're just by yourself.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. You can't really learn much from yourself. I mean, a little, but you know, you have
past
to
the
surround
critiquing
yourself.
and everything else that you get from just peers, right? You know, is important.
It's interesting too, because I've talked to Stephen Barris and I talked to Chance Glasgow, and both of them had very, very similar answers. You know, Stephen said, you know, if there's something you really want to work on, like, find the director and then find their assistants, and then, you know, send out feelers and see if there's anybody you can get in touch with and kind of pull the long con.
It's almost scary how much you can find out everything about those people.
Yeah, and then, like Chance had said, I think the most important thing is to surround yourself with people who know more than you and who are better than you.
And that's in your everyday life.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that says a lot about you as a human being, because most people want to be the big dog.
No, and I can tell you from, like, the Power Rangers team, for crowds that I did in the movie, I you know, it was up to me to hire my team. And I've always said this, and people are like, what? I am purposely hiring people who are smarter than me.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of supervisor to sit and, like, worry that you're going to steal my job.
Yeah.
I think I did my job by bringing you in.
Absolutely.
I think leaving your ego at the door is huge.
Yeah.
And I think that's in everything you do.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Absolutely. I go a little further, and I'm a little on the self-deprecating side, but
I have those moments.
If you can't laugh at yourself, what can you laugh at? But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We really, really appreciate it. And yeah, have fun at the Hall of Fame event. I mean, you're not being inducted this year, right? You're previous.
No, I'm told I'm a big deal this year.
Yeah.
This is my year.
Well, this is your year. I thought you were inducted last year. I'm so sorry. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I thought you were inducted last year. Look at me. I'm just, all day I've been calling people the wrong names. I don't know dates. I don't know where we are. Is this a grocery store? I feel like I have a feeling this is a grocery store.
This was a grocery store.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
And I apologize for my derps. I appreciate you putting up with me. Have a great day.
She's just fearful I'm going to kill her in Overwatch a lot. So
he probably will.
It's going to happen.
He probably will. He's probably not wrong. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye.